Well, here we go. It has been a few days since we've worked on this, and to be honest with you, I forgot where we left off. We had the 900 to deal with, the manure vac truck to deal with, a couple other breakdowns on the road with trucks in and out of the shop that were breaking down, and we're finally catching up to it a little bit. We do have a skid steer that's down over there that we're waiting for a coolant hose on. But at any rate, from what I remember leaving off with you guys with, is we got these brackets made for the tank, a hydraulic oil reservoir that's going behind the cab here. Now, I've had some comments from the previous posting of what we've done to this truck with, I have had nothing but bad luck with tanks that are mounted on top of the frame. They crack, they do this, they do that, they do the other. Well, it's all in how you mount the tank. This truck has a double frame. So if you're putting a hydraulic oil reservoir on a truck that's got a weak frame, in other words, a single frame that's going to twist a lot, yeah, you'll probably have trouble with your oil reservoir. You also need to mount this so that it's got a soft mounting. This one's got springs on it, so you'll put the bolts in with the springs, and it'll keep a constant force on it, and it'll allow that to flex a little bit, therefore not ruining the tank. Now, I don't know what tanks these guys are talking about that they've had trouble with, but obviously they've had trucks that were twisting the frame a lot and probably not mounting them correctly, but we're just going to leave it at that. So the brackets that they sent with this tank, these brackets are sufficient enough. However, I would have had to have taken the fuel tanks off in order to drill the holes. So what we used was a overly aggressive 4x4 angle, 1/2 inch thick. Matched the holes that were there. I coped it out for the fuel tank mount. Made it overly long so that I could catch a couple of good bolts. Probably would have only needed 3 bolts to hold that on. We're using 5/8 bolts, the holes that were in the frame. We've got that mounted down. Now what I did is I took and went over the top of the frame where this angle iron's going to go, the wire wheel. Took the surface rust off. If you recall, we are planning on, at some point, having this truck sandblasted and painting this. But I don't want to take this tank off, so what I did is I painted this area here with POR 15. I just used a paintbrush. We dribbled it down the side and whatever like that. So it is what it is, but it looks pretty good right now. So we've got a frame over there that's going to set on top of that. We'll drill holes down through it, mount it to the angle iron. Then we've got some spring mounts that'll mount that together. There is some rubber that you stick to the truck frame. Something like that there. And that frame will come down against that stuff. And it'll work that way. So we'll get that mounted and we'll get our tank up on there. I've got to get the ball valves in the bottom of the tank yet, and I want to use that panel, that 3M product, that panel bonding material to seal up the hydraulic fittings. I have also started to build the piece of channel that's going to set on top of the frame that's going to hold our valve body. And I've got my valve setting out here. However, I don't have the correct outlet cover. I have a Power Beyond outlet cover here, and what I would need to do is return both of these ports through the filter to go back to the tank, because this is a pressurized port here. So this is going to have system pressure running on it, the same pressure that the relief valve is set at. Now we had a little bit of a blooper with the C5, and I forgot to put a relief in that, and Jared unhooked from one trailer to another the other day and bumped the hydraulic hose. The hydraulic pump was sand locked, and he blew a hydraulic hose. He just bumped it, and then the truck labored, so he shut it off. Well, it blew a hydraulic hose. So at least it found the path of least resistance. That port on the inlet cover is right here. That relief, you would put in this port here. And this valve assembly here is designed to either have a relief to go in the inlet cover to relieve the hydraulic pump and protect that, or you can run a relief off of all of your ports. But if you do that, if you use this pressurized cover here, you need to run a pressure protection valve, because if this is bound up somehow, whether you're powering another hydraulic unit or something, and this deadheads, you will blow the hydraulic pump. So I didn't have any of my expert hydraulic viewers out there that had no one noticed that we didn't have a relief in that, but I cannot believe that I didn't notice it myself, because I fired the truck up. I bumped the lever just to see if the gauge worked, and boom, I had like 1,500 pounds on the gauge, and I backed off of it quick, and I jumped out of the truck to make sure I didn't have any hydraulic leaks. And I didn't, but Jared ended up having one a week ago. So we're going to get to getting here, and we'll join up with you guys in a little while here, once we have some progress to show you here. All right, so we're going to kind of share our thought process here with you. Every stinking truck we do is different. Just like these fuel tanks on this one, for what they are, they're not big enough to allow me to drop down to one to put a hydraulic oil reservoir here. That's nice and easy. Well, the other easier thing to do is mount the tank up behind the cab. Well, it's not a problem that we're running into, and I'm glad I've got another one to do. But if you look, right there is an air dryer, and then we've got maybe an ABS controller or something sitting up there in front of it. We've got just enough room to get our fittings in the bottom of the tank. So we're doing just a little bit of a mock-up here. I don't know if you guys can see down in there enough, but I've got a 2-inch bushing in the bottom of the tank on each side, and then I got a street L. 1.25-inch street L hooked into that. So we need to get oil to the hydraulic pump, and we need to be able to return oil from the hydraulic valve body. The valve body is going to sit right here. Filter is going to sit somewhere in here, and I should be able to, well, I could go down with the hose. I'm still kind of thinking. Could go down with a return hose, go underneath this cross member, bang, right over into the left side of the tank. The left side of the tank, I don't want to go from that side to the hydraulic pump, because this, I'm going to be going over the top of the drive shaft and then under it again. So, and then I've got the exhaust pipe is right there. So we're going to feed the hydraulic pump from the right hand side of the tank. I think I can swing this street L on a little bit of an angle. I got to put ball valves onto both of them. Put ball valves on there, hose barb, and then by the time I get stacked with a couple of fittings, I'll be right over the top of that drive shaft pretty good like. Then we can just drop down and sneak right over into the hydraulic pump. And then the same thing with this fitting on the left side. Cock that on a little bit of an angle, have it swoop back this way. By the time we get enough of a, we'll get enough of a sweep on it, we come right back around and get into our filter. However, what we're going to have to do, we've got a hole in the bottom of this bracket that's about 7 inches, I believe it is. I'm just guesstimating. I can't put this tank on there with my fittings in the tank. We need to build the fittings on the tank with the bracket on the tank, if you will. So that's how we're going to have to do that. We're going to have this all off. I'm going to drill my holes ahead of time. Then I'll get my fittings in the tank with that guy on there with it kind of all clamped together. And then we'll just kind of have to, we might be able to lift up out of that bracket a little ways to get bolts in and everything else. But I need to mount that down. So I can't put the fittings in and build it with it on the truck because there's not enough room. I could build this right hand side, but the left hand side is, well, it can be done, but I want to get that 3M stuff on there, and yeah. So, all right, we'll pull it back off and get things figured out. All right, so we are now set up to drill some holes. We're going to use the V-Var little mag drill. That thing does a real good job. I've got a Milwaukee mag drill that'll probably do a better job, but this one's nice and light, easy to grab onto, and it's just a light duty job. Now, I ended up having to buy a brand new tape measure. I went with another Milwaukee 25 footer wide blade with a magnetic cleat on the end of it. I had to semi-retire my older one. And the reason why I had to retire it is because the tape, I've got some wore out spots on it. For example, this measurement here needed to be 2 3/4 from the outer side of this angle iron. Measuring from one way, I could use the tape right here. I'd be able to see it, but I couldn't see it there, so I had to slide the tape around. When I get around that 1 1/4 up past 1 1/2 mark, I have the same problem. Now, yes, you can, extend it out, use the center part of the tape measure, but that's a pain in the ass when you're trying to do something like that. This tape measure I have had, this is kind of silly, I'm sharing this with you, but this tape measure I have had for over 3 years. I don't like to let anybody else use it. I like to stick with one tape measure. And when you start a job and finish a job, if you use the original tape measure, everything is measured the same. We're cutting into this job halfway through, but it is what it is. So I'll continue to use this tape measure, but I'll have to use it on jobs, on the larger jobs where, like building a silage body, or whatever, because you get down into this longer part of the tape here, the paint's all still pretty good on it. Usually you can buy these refills, but I could not find one for this tape measure. Milwaukee does not sell it. I like this one because it's got a heavy duty pocket clip slash belt clip. With these pants that I wear, they've got a protected pocket, so the tape measure works nicely. So we're gonna go ahead and drill these holes. Thought I'd share that with you. Being that you're probably gonna see a new tape measure on me. It's not because I broke the one I had. A lot of times these guys will go through tape measures like water because they leave it extended. Somebody steps on it, it's no good. They'll measure something wet, let water roll back into the tape measure. After a while it rusts out, it's no good. So they throw that out, grab another one. But we'll have to hide this and put it away so that we can use it, so that we can continue to use it. It's got some patina to it, if you will. So maybe I should take the new tape off of this tape measure and put it on this one. That's what I should do. But, oh well. All right, let's drill some holes. Alright, so I've got this tank. Got the fittings in the bottom of it. We've got a plug to put in here yet. We've got the ball valves in the way I want them. And then it doesn't matter how much pipe dope you use, thread tape, pipe sealant, whatever you want to call it, any product. It just doesn't matter, that stuff will leak. So what we've done is we have gone through with this 3M product, a panel bonding material. We just spooge it on there and it glues everything all together. It seals it up very nicely. We'll let it dry a little bit and then we'll go around with our finger and press it into the seams. We'll let that dry, and then when we put oil in it, it'll seal itself up. So we'll let that sit overnight here and see how things do. Alex came in from hauling manure. She helped me hold this tank and we put the sealant on them other joints before we screwed them into place. So just look around that a little bit. There's some light spots here and there where I did this one. I'm gonna put a glove on and just kind of pet it around there. So yeah, so that should work. We forgot to pull the coating off the bottom of the tank, but that's okay. All right. All right, it is now Sunday morning. The 3M product is setting up pretty good. We've got our ball valve handles on there. Now we're going to set the tank onto the truck and get it fastened down. We've got these little rubber pieces to go in between the angle iron on the frame and the actual bracketry here. And then there's springs that go on the bolts as well. So we'll get everything setting into place and get it fastened down, and then we can hook up our hoses going down to the pump, and then we could start building our hydraulic valve body unit as well.
Well, let's